Tweet Share 1 LinkedIn 0 email whether Theresa May is axed in the next few days or limps on. All the government's choices are hopeless. Asking the people if they still want Brexit is the only sensible option. So long as we step up the pressure following yesterday's fantastic 700,000-person People's Vote march, we can get our prize. Today's papers are full of stories of Tory plots to oust the Prime Minister. She has entered the killing zone, and has only 72 hours to save her skin, according to the Sunday Times. She faces a show trial at a meeting of her backbench MPs on Wednesday, says the Mail on Sunday. We have, of course, heard lurid threats before that didn't come to pass. So perhaps May will somehow stagger on. If so, her key choice will be whether to do a deal with the EU that she won't be able to get through Parliament, or propose that we quit the EU with no deal at all, knowing that she won't be able to get MPs to back that either. Look at these desperate options in turn. Level playing field. Customs Union. Last week's summit went even worse than most realize. The Prime Minister wanted the whole UK to stay in a customs union as part of the legally watertight backstop needed to keep the Irish border open in all circumstances. She also wanted this backstop to have a time limit. If May had managed to get both, she might just have persuaded her MPs as well as Northern Ireland's DUP to rally behind her. But the EU rejected both her pleas. While it was prepared to consider the whole UK staying in the customs union, it wants this idea not in the backstop but in the political declaration on our future relations, which won't be legally binding. This matters because it means the terms under which we might stay in the customs union will be up for grabs in the subsequent negotiations, when the EU will push for a so-called level playing field to ensure we don't get an unfair advantage. They will want us to follow their rules on social, environmental and competition policy, without a say, and aspects of tax policy too, according to yesterday's Telegraph. It's hard to see how the Prime Minister can get such a policy through her cabinet, especially now the Brexiters led by Michael Gove and Geoffrey Cox, the Attorney General, are insisting on legal advice before they sign up to anything. Even if she did, she wouldn't get it through Parliament. The Chief Whip told her last week she would lose 100 MPs, according to the Sunday Times. Her latest scheme, to extend the transition, the limbo period after we quit the EU when we stay in its single market as well as customs union without a say on the rules, won't wash with our European partners either. Dominic Raab's idea that this could be an alternative to the backstop is pie in the sky. The Brexit Secretary, a lawyer by training, must know this, suggesting he is throwing it into the debate as a smokescreen to disguise the government's lack of a strategy. Boudica no deal. The problem is that May's alternative, charging ahead with no deal, is equally hopeless. She herself knows it would be mad, despite her "no deal is better than a bad deal" rhetoric. If she tried to push it through her cabinet, she would probably provoke resignations from the more sensible members. True, the Prime Minister would buy herself more time with the hardliners if she found her inner Boudica and set herself up as a strong leader determined to fight the continental Europeans. David Davis and Boris Johnson wouldn't have any excuse to kick her out. But don't forget that Boudica ultimately went down to a terrible defeat. And so it would be for May. If she tried to charge over the abyss without a deal, many Tory MPs would join with the opposition to stop her. Kick her out. What then about the option of axing her? Forget that the Tories would engage in a further round of bloodletting to determine who should replace her, with Davis, Johnson, Gove, Raab and others all contending for the throne. Any new Conservative leader would struggle just as much, if not more, to persuade Parliament to crash out with no deal or to do a half-in half-out deal where we follow the EU's rules without a say. Aren't there other options? Well, in theory, there are: a Canada-style deal, a Norway-style deal, and a hybrid where we start with Norway and then flip to Canada. A new Prime Minister might toy with these. But they are all hopeless. The EU would only give us a Canada-style deal, which, incidentally, would be far worse for our economy than our current deal, if we agree the backstop. The border in the Irish Sea would then be pretty hard. Any Prime Minister advocating this would lose the support of the DUP, Scottish Tories and loyal Tories such as Amber Rudd too. Norway has full access to the single market. Combine that with a customs union and the economy would be protected and there would be no need for border controls. That would appeal to lots of pro-European Tories such as Nicky Morgan, as well as the Scottish Tories, some Labour MPs and conceivably the DUP and the Scottish National Party. But it is hard to see any Conservative Prime Minister proposing this, as it would flout the manifesto commitment to pull out of the single market. It'd mean free movement, payments to the EU budget and following its rules forever. That would make a mockery of taking back control. Meanwhile, the hybrid of starting with Norway and flipping to Canada, as proposed by Gove's friend Nick Boles and now backed by Frank Field, the semi-detached Labour MP, raises more problems than it solves. The EU might let us do this in the form of a multi-year transition. But we would have to follow all its rules and pay into its budget during that period. What's more, it would still insist on the Irish backstop because we would be saying Norway wasn't permanent. What's the solution? The Prime Minister has a tough week ahead. She addresses all MPs tomorrow, has a full cabinet meeting on Tuesday, has been asked to speak to her backbench MPs on Wednesday and then will convene her Brexit cabinet on Thursday. There is no obvious way through the thicket for either her or anybody who wishes to stab her in the back. But time is ticking. The economy is suffering, with 80% of businesses holding back investment because of Brexit, according to the CBI. Meanwhile, our standing in the world is falling, with Germany's Spiegel writing a column this weekend called, "Watching a Country Make a Fool of Itself." There is only one good solution out of the mess, a people's vote at the end of the talks with the option to stay in the EU if the people don't like what's on offer. Yesterday's march gave an amazing platform to press for this. Now, we can step up our campaigning by writing to MPs, volunteering or donating. We can stop this, yes we can. Tweet Share 01 LinkedIn 0 email edited by Luke Lithgow.